Hello and namaste and welcome to Bro Tease America with Professor Mohan Murali. I'm a professor of engineering with a lot of interest and a lot of passion for everything that's current affairs. You've probably seen this news. Appeals court maintains injunction against Trump birthright order. This is the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals in Richmond, Virginia, by a 2-to-1 vote maintains nationwide ban on implementing Trump's executive order on birthright citizenship. A question was posed to me, given the legal uncertainty around the birthright citizenship, if somebody who's on any kind of visa gives birth to a kid on American soil, will that kid get American citizenship now? Before I address that question, first things first, who am I? Why am I being asked that question? And what are my qualifications to talk about this or anything that I put out in this channel? And lastly, why am I doing this? First, I'm a naturalized Indian American citizen, engineer by training, but passionate about current affairs, history, American history, US politics, legal news. I consume a lot of all these, and also I'm passionate about world affairs. And if I put anything out in videos in this channel, that's only because I feel qualified. I do a personal check whether I feel qualified to talk about this or not. If I don't, I'm not going to put. That's the same edict, the professional engineering edict we follow is that you talk about things and you do things only in which you feel qualified or you're at least qualified. That doesn't have to be a formal training. It can be on a subject that you are self-taught. And I do a lot of videos in my native tongue, Telugu, for Telugu speaking audience, not necessarily all Americans. When I talk about a subject matter that is of importance to a larger audience, I try to put that out in English language as well, which is one reason why I'm doing it. Meaning, I have done this in Telugu language, so I'm just putting it out also in English. And I hope you subscribe to this channel. I would like to contribute more, not necessarily for only for Indian American community, but for a larger community. I'm going to promise one thing. I'm not going to take multiple hot takes every day and bombard your inbox with all these alerts. So this is a very base question, not a high level legal question. So, I mean, you can obviously get this answer from some of the legal experts as well, but given my connections to the community, people reach out to me and ask, what do I think about it? So, which is the main reason why I am addressing this. So basically, the circuit court decision, I would like to address in the context of this question, what it means now and what it could mean in the future. It is important to understand the court system, federal court system in the United States before we can tackle that question. So we have at the very base level federal tribunals and other entities. They include military courts, etc. That's not an important layer here. But what's most important is the next three layers, the trial courts. There are 96 judicial districts around the country. Small states have fewer, and larger states like California have more number of districts. 94 districts, and then U.S. Bankruptcy Court, which is separate from that, and then you have a code of international trade, code of federal claims, and then one level above that are the appeal courts, appellate courts. These are U.S. courts of appeals, 12 regional circuit courts, and one U.S. Court of Appeals for the federal district that's in Washington, D.C., which is where I live. And if you see on the map, so each circuit is color coded. The Fourth Circuit is in Richmond, Virginia, which is where the decision just came from. And then on top of the circuit courts, you have the US Supreme Court. As soon as Trump signed this executive order on January 20th, a lot of lawsuits were filed around the nation. And four district courts, one in Washington, one in New Hampshire, Maryland, and Massachusetts, they imposed injunction against implementing this executive order. The one in Maryland imposed a nationwide ban on this EO, and that's the one Trump administration appealed. And the judgment came is from the Fourth Circuit that's based in Richmond. So the summary of this judgment from the Fourth Circuit is that the government, the Trump administration, did not prove that it is likely to prevail in its claim that the district court in Maryland abused its discretion. Therefore, the injunction against the EO stands. So what next? They can take this en banc to the Fourth Circuit, like that includes all the appeals court judges, and then they make a decision collectively, or the Trump administration could go to the Supreme Court. This is March already, but given the importance of this case, they might even take it up for this session, or maybe they'll do what they always do, what is called a shadow docket, which is kind of circumvents the regular order, and then they issue a shadow judgment on important cases, which they have done in the recent years. So exactly the path for Supreme Court is unclear, but it is very clear that Trump administration is more likely than not, they will appeal this to Supreme Court, and it will get to the Supreme Court doorstep very soon. What are the likely paths Supreme Court will take? Before they give the final verdict, they could lift the injunction or keep the injunction, meaning they can say, okay, you can start implementing the EO now until we give the decision, or no, keep the injunction and we will decide and let you know what happens. Until Supreme Court gives that initial decision, the current practice of giving birthright citizenship to everybody who's born in this country stays. In other words, the answer to the original question is, if somebody who's born in the United States, between now and any decision Supreme Court makes, the current law stays. And then there are a few follow-up questions. What if the mother is on tourist visa? So this is essentially any visa, or even for those who are illegally here, I presume, even if they are illegally here, the current law or the current practice is to give the birthright citizenship to the person born in the United States. So I think that will stand until Supreme Court weighs in on the entire case. What will the Supreme Court decide? My personal guess, of course, you don't have to be a liar, but well-informed person, as a well-informed person on this, my guess is that by a wide margin, I'm not sure about Thomas and Alito, but at least 7-2 or maybe 6-3 or something like that. The Supreme Court will uphold the birthright citizenship as it stands now, meaning the Trump administration will suffer a major loss on this executive order. I mean, one could ask, is there a 100% guarantee? No. There is always slight risk. For all we know, Trump administration may gain some concessions. The other important question is, if the Supreme Court upholds the birthright citizenship executive order, will that be retroactive? And the simple answer to that will be no. As long as the injunction is in place, so during that injunction period, the current law holds, meaning anybody who's born in the United States given the birthright, and that will stay. If the Supreme Court lift the injunction, then I don't exactly know 100% what will happen in the period between the final decision and then the injunction period. Most likely depends on the final decision, right? So I doubt if Supreme Court is going to lift the injunctions. There you have it. That's a short take from me about what will happen now until Supreme Court decides on the birthright citizenship executive order. Thank you for watching.